Looking for stories that are fresh and new? Dark fantasy, humor, space exploration, time travel, cyberpunk, alternate history, and more. They're in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future anthology from 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. Yes, it is that time of year again. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, UFO Undercover, in the category of entertainment. UFO Undercover brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and get out and vote now.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which boasts millions of listeners each week who are well known for and have been complimented on their very laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, esoteric, and other areas of high strangeness, and more. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
You are listening to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, coming to you live on 105.3 right up to 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. UPRNTalkRadio.com.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Just tuning in, and you are listening live to 105.3 and 107.7 on UFO Paranormal Radio, otherwise known as United Public Radio Network, or UPRN, and you're listening to The Thing at the Foot of the Bed. Now, if you'd like to come and watch the show, you can head over to our Facebook page and YouTube channel under the name of UFO Paranormal Radio. You can also see us on TV under Roku. You're going to go to the channel store and look up UFO space P as in paranormal, and there's going to be a list that comes down where about the third or fourth down you're looking for UFO space paranormal, and I think it's United Public Radio. You'll find us there. Also, you can find us on my amazing co-host David's YouTube channel, The Spirit Experience, my YouTube channel, The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. David also is streaming to his group, The Spirit Experience, on Facebook, and I am streaming on my own profile, which is public, so you can see under Lorilei Potvin. Now, if you've never been to the show, welcome. I will introduce myself. I am a host on the network of two shows. One of them is on Monday nights called The Angel Rock from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live, and have various guests on there. And then I co-host with David here. My name's Lorilei Potvin. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. I'm going to introduce my two amazing co-hosts right to me in just a moment. If you like what you see, please stay tuned. We've got all kinds of amazing shows and hosts on this network. Network's been around for 25 years. So when we aren't streaming live, because we have a show, something for everybody, we also have all kinds of amazing content from syndicated shows and previous shows that have been done in the past with different hosts and guests. You'll love it. So like, share, and subscribe. I think I've remembered everything. Two things I do want to say quickly. I am going to be joining the amazing Carrie Lynn Shellhorn tomorrow on Spirit Switchboard from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on UFO Paranormal Radio. And then the amazing show that it goes 2 nights in a row on our network on Wednesdays and Thursday nights, The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoger, who's also our network manager, and Amelia Pisano, their co-hosts, Wednesdays and Thursdays with The Outer Realm. So stay tuned after this for their show. I will be joining them next Wednesday on their show from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. Okay, I think I said everything. I'm going to say goodbye to Brandy and Sandra. Welcome. And I'll give it to our other 2 co-hosts this evening.
You did it fast and a good job. I am David Hanzel, spiritual medium, and this is Angel.
Angel.
An angel.
Angel.
So welcome to the thing at the foot of the bed. I also have another podcast called Mystic Stew, which I'm putting out new episodes this weekend. You can find Mystic Stew just about anywhere that you get your podcasts. It is a short form podcast. And so if you have short attention span, it's probably the podcast for you. I am a content creator on TikTok, all spiritual content, as well as Instagram and Facebook. And that is about it. We'll tell you how to get hold of
it. About your new website that's coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's going to be a surprise, but I do have
you can give them a teaser. Come on, because I've seen a little bit of, oh my God, you guys, wait till you see this.
I have a brand new website coming. This weekend it'll be up. And then if you were to visit it on Monday, I will put in a code. I'll tell you a code at the end of the day, how to get 10% off any of the live readings I have. And if clarity reading, if you want to talk to guides and spirit guides and my spirit guide, strictly for that, there's $10 off that reading. So I will let you know at the end how to do that.
Good, because this is your opportunity to tell people if it's going to go live this weekend, and by Monday you're going to be having a special code. So I'm so glad.
Yeah, it'll be.
Oh, hi, Leona, too. Sorry,
the website will be live as of Monday. It'll be on there.
Yeah. Oh, wait till you guys see this. Like I literally said to Dave, he shared a part with me, asked my opinion, and I said, oh my gosh, I won't name the name of what I said, but it's one of the major spiritual content providers out there, known globally around the world. I went, holy crap, it looks like they made what you're going to be putting on your website, but they didn't. It was Dave. Right?
But I have a new intro video on the website to explaining things, and I just thought I'd be extremely professional in it.
Gosh, David, it was so incredible. Like it was like water flowing. Like there wasn't any cuts. It was like all one take. Wait till you guys see this. I have to talk about it, Dave, because I'm so impressed.
Well, and also starting, I forgot, starting next week, and I know you guys, you'll get to a subject in a second, but starting next week, also on, which I decided today, which is one of the things I was doing on my YouTube channel, I'm going to start dropping a couple videos a week on that, just talking about all kinds of things. Some of the stuff we talk here, I've been doing lots of research on stuff and writing these essays, so I thought I would turn them into videos. So being dropped on this time next week as well.
Awesome. You know what Spirit keeps nagging at me to do? Resin and readings. And I could do the 2 of them, say on TikTok or somewhere, because I'm always doing resin if I'm not doing, spiritual stuff. And I don't just do those 2 things. But my whole point is that's a lot of times when I connect to spirit, when I'm creating. So, and I've had so many people ask me, could you please show me how to do resin? It's like, there's tons of videos out there.
And what you just said is great advice for anybody wanting to contact their spirit guide or just get quiet. If you suck at meditation, because a lot of people have a hard time with meditation, and I understand it. It's a learned art form, I guess. We all do know how to do it. All you got to do is kind of remember how and learn it. But in the meantime, like Lorilei just said, when she does her resin work, or when she's focusing on a craft or something that she's got her heart and soul into, it is so much easier to hear all the voices that are
It
coming in your head.
is. And the best time for me is usually when everybody's gone to bed and I'm up and it's quiet. And of course, when you're doing something like that, all the planning and thinking usually goes into before you start. So you have all your materials out. So it's kind of like I'm on automatic pilot. So I think that's why Spirit keeps saying resin and readings, go and do that, because I could do two things at once that way.
And then you can, and then your ending will be like, so did you resonate with that reading?
I love it, Dave. I'm going to remind you, let us know if you're on Facebook. Now, is this probably Jody or I'm not sure who else, but if you're on Facebook, we forgot to remind you. That's what I forgot. If you can, either let us know who you are. If you don't, you'll see your name come up. So whoever wrote, I'd love to see you do readings in resin. Lorilei, thank you. So you can either go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give them permission to use your your picture and your name, or just let us know who you are, because we don't know who you are. But thank you. That was so kind. And Leona says, so what did Leona say here? Boy, I can see Spirit, see it work for us. It works for all of us, because the problem is, and we're not going to talk about meditation, we're talking about something spooky tonight, but since we're here with meditation, right, people get so hung up on it, and it's Stephanie Nichols Hill, welcome. I'm so sorry. Hey, Zachman, welcome. I completely guessed wrong, so welcome. Leona, what you said there though, okay, about meditation, and David is right about this. We put so much pressure on ourselves because we believe there's only one way to meditate, almost sitting atop a mountain in the lotus position, for 2 or 3 hours, and that we got to completely clear our mind. It's the only way to meditate. And it's not, because like Dave said, we do it naturally all day long, don't we, Dave?
We do all day long. We are listening. It's your intuition sometimes is help from the other side, whoever that may be for you. From the other side. I'm going to answer her question quick, if that's okay, Leona.
And who's that?
Leona McEvoy.
Okay.
We don't do readings on this show that much. Like, we do one or two if they come up and hit me, but this one came up and it's important for me to say it, so I'm going to get it out there real quick. Here's the deal, my dear. It's not whether Spirit sees it working or not. It's whether you do. When you're asking a question about a relationship, you're already doubting it. Take that doubt out of your mind. It's way too soon to doubt something. Take it as it is in the moment. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you move on to the next, but you'll know very quickly. But I always tell people, it's not to ask a psychic all the time if it's going to work. Yeah, we can give you the path that you're on now and where it's headed, but you could change that at any point, and then we're just going to be wrong because you have free will. But if you look at the relationship in a good way and you are just yourself, and you allow yourself to be yourself and allow that person to be that person, you should do okay.
Okay, I'm going to add something, and I'm glad you caught that because I misread that. So Rita Anfield says, you guys rock. Thank you. We think all of you rock. And I want to add something to this too, Dave. So Leona, you've put, like I said, we don't do reading shows. We've got a lot of great hosts that do that. We've got Roger and Faye on Latino Psychic Visions, and they do this Mugs for You on Saturday mornings. Paul Francis does that type of thing. So that's not kind of what we do here, but we do from time to time. We did have the predictable reading, and we still will do it from time to time, but we usually have so much to talk about, you guys, that we end up talking about. From Stephanie, I'll read that in a minute. Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, Lizzie McLeod. Anyway, so we don't usually do it. We've got so much to talk about, but I do want to add here, because Leona, you are so loved. Okay, I know you don't realize this, and what I'm hearing from Spirit is, you need to trust yourself and trust your intuition, and remember that all of us make mistakes, okay? But mistakes are not a bad thing. And I'm not saying about this relationship. This is coming from Spirit, though, as a whole, that we take the lessons. We have that choice to take the lessons. What did we learn from the mistake? If we never make a mistake, or we never choose the wrong direction, or we never, we don't need somebody to tell us what turn to take, okay, what road to take, what path to take. You got to trust yourself. You're here to live life. You're here to live this journey, right? You got to, if you make mistakes, that's okay, Pick yourself up, dust yourself off. Spirit's giving me the vision right now of a baby learning to walk, okay? A baby never thinks about, oh my gosh, I don't want to walk again because what if I fall? A baby just keeps getting up over and over and over and over until they master walking. And that's what this is about. So trust your heart. If when you said, I do, but I'm afraid of losing him, I do think he's the one. Just remember and I get this from Spirit all the time. Focus on what you want to see, not what you don't. And if there's reasons that have you to pause to think that maybe you might lose him, it's maybe time to step back from the relationship and take a look at it as a whole. Because if he really is the one, nobody's relationship is perfect, but trust is a huge thing. Okay, so you've got this. You're able to make decisions. You're able to make those choices. Trust yourself. Okay, sweetie? I don't know if you want to add anything, Dave, but
Nope. Yep. Just you got to don't ever put that energy out there. It's not worth it. Put that good energy out there.
yeah. Okay, Stephanie, I want to read this because I really appreciate this. So she said, Lorilei Potvin, you were the first person who ever gave me a message from Spirit. Holy cow, Stephanie, you remember way back. It was in 2017 and you were spot on and it helped me so much. I always remember you with a grateful heart. Well, I really, really appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. That's when I had time to go live probably at night. I used to do 1 question readings. And then so thank you, Stephanie. I really appreciate that. And Lizzie says, cute cat, David. That's our 3rd co-host tonight, Lizzie. That's Angel. And Leona said, thank you so much. So Dave, we picked out an interesting topic. Do you want me to share how
go ahead and start, my dear.
Okay, so what happened was I was working with this amazing client, a repetitive client, a very good client, and we've gotten to know each other. And they asked me a question, and I went, wow, I don't think we've ever talked about it. But they were asking about what happens when, say, somebody loses their life when they're working in a mine. And I happened to say during the session, are you talking about Tommy knockers? And they go, Tommy knockers? What are those? So we talked about that a bit. And lo and behold, one of my favorites, Nuke's Top 5, put out a new video. He had a video about something like that. I got to upload it actually while we're talking because I downloaded it from TikTok.
Oh, cool.
So we talked about it. We thought, hey, we've never talked about this, have we, Dave?
No. And Tommy knockers they're a lore. I mean, like
all over the world.
Yeah, it's all over the world. Just like they're for me, as I did some research on it, I mean, they're literally part of the elemental family. Mm-hmm. They used to, some people see them as bad, some people see them as good. I don't know how to see them because I've never been in a mine, so I don't know. Some people say that they would knock, and that's why they're called Tommy knockers. So when people would go down into the mines, they would hear the knocking. And if they heard the knocking, sometimes it meant that, for some, it meant that the shaft was going to fall in. Mm-hmm. And for others, it was trying to point them towards the destination down there to find something. Sometimes they would leave back in, I think it was Scotland. I can't remember because I think it's Welsh, isn't it? Or Cornish or something.
Okay, so I sent you a quick video, but Dave's had a crazy day, and I know he has crazy days like I do, but it was a short one, but it was a really good one. And it was talking about, because what I always knew Tommy knockers to be, because there was a show, I don't know if any of y'all will remember it, it was called Ghost Mine. It was put out by the Travel Channel or Nat Geo or something, and it was an abandoned mine that they were looking at reopening. And some of the old miners were coming back and they were telling stories. And it was kind of a paranormal type show because there was a documentary film team of a man and a woman. They weren't in a relationship. They were working professionally. And again, reality TV is never reality. But they picked up some interesting stuff. And the old timers used to talk about the Tommy knockers. And I was always like, what the heck's a Tommy knocker? So I looked into it. Now, from what I can see, and we want to hear your thoughts on this. Like, please, we don't know everything about it. We brought it up because it's almost like spirit can occur anywhere. The land holds energy, right? So they said, from what I was, I'll go with the old timers. They said that how they perceived Tommy knockers were the spirits of previous miners who had lost their lives in, say, a collision, like a cave-in or whatever it was, and they hadn't left the mine. So when other miners were there, they knock to let you know either there's going to be a cave-in, or there was other things like tools missing and all
Yeah,
kinds of mischievous.
there's like literally a dozen different ones. I heard that one too. Some say they're
Did you
elementals.
hear about the greenish skinned
Yeah,
little 2-foot guy?
everybody sees them different, and that's why I don't think anybody's got. Well, but you know what? Too, I have to say this: we all see things differently too, because elementals. I mean, if okay, like elementals could present themselves as literally any look they want.
They
If
were
they,
proposing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs were actually versions of Tommy knockers, because that's the video I sent you. It said that all around the world there is legend and lore very similar to what people are referring to as Tommy knockers, and they're little 2-foot humanoids with
yeah,
either grayish or green skin. And there was a video I watched. He's kind of cheesy, that's why I didn't download it, but he was talking about there was going to be a cave-in with 7 miners, and they kept talking about the Tommy knockers, and there was knocking, and then there was a cave-in, but because the guys had been warned, unfortunately 4 lost their lives, but 3 didn't, and they reported as they were running out, they could literally see these little beings running ahead of them with the grayish greenish skin. They look like little tiny men.
yeah, and they said they didn't know if they were leading them out or if they were trying to get out. But I don't think they would have to try to get out. I think they, if anything,
No, because they're spirit, like basically a type of spirit.
On the nicer side of that whole thing, I think.
Oh, seriously? I have the far window open. It's only like 20 miles an hour on this road, and people are hot rodding.
But I love things
wild.
like
So you've never heard of this at all? I'm telling you, look it up. It's
really, yeah, look it up. It's and just for everybody listening, anything we see, from something scary to little people to flying things in the sky to all that, anytime there's a lore or a myth about it, you got to remember something caused that lore or myth to be written. It was somebody saw something somewhere, and that's how it starts. Now, of course, it's like the whisper game or whatever, or telephone.
Telephone. Yeah.
It's always going to be like the game of telephone, and it's going to get embellished. But I would say our jobs as investigators or paranormal people, or people who study the paranormal, or I'm really big into metaphysics. We have to explore every option, and we have to explore every theory and not settle on one.
I couldn't figure out where they came from, because you and I kind of voice message back and forth. I'm trying to find the Nukes Top 5 one, because I know I downloaded it.
Most of the things that I touched on today, they always seem to have originated from Welsh. I think it was Welsh or
Celtic
stuff like that. So they came from that, which makes sense, because in Ireland, and mushroom circles and all those things, fairy circles.
You know the one I sent you though, Dave.
There's people out there who literally, I mean, they will stake their lives on these things being around. I know certain things exist because I've had experiences with them. I've never had an experience with the Tommy knocker before, though, and I find it quite interesting.
Okay. I'm trying to remember I sent you that video. It was from Nukes Top 5.
Yeah.
The video clip of that kid that went into the mine, and we wanted to talk about it. I'm trying to find it while you're talking, just to let you know, so that I could play it. Here it is. If you've been following, I went into a cave and heard this. Do you want me to play that? Because I got it off.
Play it once. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, you go ahead and finish what you're saying then. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to ask you if it was okay.
Yeah, she's going to set up that clip, and then we'll all just get kind of a little, because he talks in it. Yeah, he talks in it, and there's not much to see in the clip.
I was yelling at the screen when I watched this on Nukes Top 5. Dude, do you realize how ridiculous you are? Turn around. I kept saying.
Yeah, that clip I remember. Go ahead and play it, because I do have something to say about this clip.
I know, because you felt that there was a voice overlay, because we played the EVP. If you guys were there on Monday, I played the EVP. I was producing a show for actually for Carrie Lynn. the one that I'm going to be on her show tomorrow. And only reason I heard is because I had headphones on. Had I not heard her, had headphones on, I wouldn't have heard it. But it was a pretty good EVP. I shared it with Dave too.
Now, see, that I believe was an EVP. That was an EVP, but the one we saw on that one thing, I don't know if you caught it, but I listened to it, and they mentioned something about they heard a sound. I'm like, that one was.
I'm trying to find this for you guys.
Like
Give me a sec, guys. Go ahead, Dave. I'm trying to find it as you're talking.
Okay, Richie D. Gunner, have you guys talked about animal guides or spirits and stuff? We did last week, but I will say we'll probably touch on it again because
or even tonight we might, depending on where the conversation goes. We go where you guys want to go.
Elementals are literally the guardians of nature and Mother Earth. They're also with animals too. A lot of guides or watchers who watch over our little people, or the elementals watch over the animals who are here. Sorry,
guys, I'm trying to find this. I think I found it. I did find it. So give me a sec. I don't want it to play yet. Don't play yet. I gotta put the okay. We gotta turn this off for a sec. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get Facebook to play while I'm doing this. So I'm almost there. Give me a sec. Make sure volume's up good. Okay, let me share. Hang on. Present. Oh, that's Richie D. Gunner. Welcome, Richie. I don't think we said hi to you, but we can talk about that tonight, depending on where we go with things. So, okay, let me share. We want to go to Facebook. Share. Okay. Now I got to go back here. Okay, I will add it. So give me a sec. And then I'll play it once it's on the screen.
I'm afraid to get my little gnome down.
Is it on the screen yet? It's not. Yep, it should be. Okay, good. I can't see. My computer's so slow. Okay, here it is. This is the one. You guys are really going to have to listen. I'll see if Hi, Carrie Lynn. I was just talking about you. Are your ears burning? Okay, so I'm trying to blow it up a wee bit for you guys. You have to listen because that's what Dave wants to talk about. Can you hear it, Dave? Because it's a little ways in, eh? So he's in a mine, you guys, that he shouldn't be in.
He keeps hearing help or screams in the background.
Yeah, he hears screams, and he hears an EVP in this. This was not featured on Nuke's Top 5, but I went to TikTok to get it. So.
The whispering already went. It's hard to hear.
I'm sorry, guys, but go ahead, Dave.
So I don't think that he wasn't saying in that video that they were Tommy knockers. He was saying, well, he went right to the old, what did he go to? Skinwalkers.
Well, no, he wasn't the Skinwalker. So this week, if you guys haven't checked out Nuke's Top 5 on YouTube, check it out. Because that was a different clip. No, this guy was in an abandoned mine. This isn't the full clip, but I don't want to play YouTube. I don't know if Nukes strikes anybody for playing, even though we are doing fair use. We're doing commentary. Some people get picky that way. That's why I went to TikTok. This kid went into an abandoned mine. His whole TikTok, he goes into abandoned mines and abandoned buildings and what have you. So as he's going through the mine, and it was hard to hear, and I was trying not to talk, but I just didn't want to have just dead silence, right? But what happens in the video, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but you hear, it sounds like a woman screaming, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And then before it does, it says on the screen, do you hear them whispering? And there's all kinds of whispers you can hear.
That's what.
What was the EVP that came through that was kind of fake, though? It said, we don't know.
Whispers. The whispers would have been an EVP because I caught it on his camera, but it looked like it. I don't know for sure because I am not a proclaimed expert, but I watch a lot of stuff and I watch certain things just from I've learned throughout the years. And that voice sounded like it was literally put in, because I put in voices like that too in a couple of videos I made, and they sound exactly the same. Mine were to do anything. I I made a in my on my YouTube channel. I do a video about ghosts, and I put some creepy sounds in the background, and they play exactly like that EVP does.
No,
And
but that's not the whole EVP, because I know now that's not the
Oh,
whole clip.
just the one with it was actually very loud whispers. You could hear it perfectly.
Okay, but no, on Nuke's Top 5, it's the video was released, I think, on Monday. The whole clip has, okay, so you hear the whispers. Yeah, they sound a little suspect. Hi, Janie. And then you hear like a woman scream, and he keeps going further and further into this mind. He's not giving up. He is going all the way into this mind to find out where these voices are coming from, where the noises are coming from. Then as he goes in further, you literally hear super quiet, "We don't know them," or something like that. Like, who are we? Who are they? We don't know them. And there's all these weird noises. Something's running towards him. You hear the footsteps running towards him. Like I said, that was just the short clip, but I didn't want to download like three that, I think it's 3 or 4 clips of the whole thing.
Yeah,
the whole thing. Long, but I don't know, Dave, because hard to say. It's hard for people. They'd have to probably check it out to have an opinion.
You have to check it out for yourselves. I'll tell you, when I watch videos like that, first, he didn't say it in this video. That wasn't the video. If they say these 2 words right away, I am suspect of it. When they say it's a skinwalker, right away.
Yeah, but he didn't. You're mixing them up with the skinwalker.
It was a different video. That was a different video. That's what I said. You're right on that one. But on the other video that they were doing it, that was the first thing that came out at the end. I'm like, okay, whatever. But that video, the only thing that was weird about it was, I mean, are people really, really, really that brave?
Well, apparently he doesn't post paranormal videos, though. If I remember the story from Nuke's Top 5, like this was
if that's the one, yeah. Now that's a good thing, though, too. That's because that's something we all look at too. We see what's on your main channel.
Yeah.
And yes, yeah, you're absolutely correct. That one he did. There was one, if that's the one, where they even said he doesn't. He had like all kinds of other stuff on his channel, nothing to do with the paranormal. That was just one video. I've seen a couple of videos like that.
Okay, so I want to stop for a second and say hi to Carrie Lynn. Carrie Lynn, were your ears burning? So Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. I mentioned her at the beginning of the show, mentioned about the EVP we played Monday night on the Angel Rock, and I'm going to be on Carrie Lynn's show. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we'll be on from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow on Spirit Switchboard. But last week, and she had Rick McCallum on. And he is an author, he is a stuntman, and he's a paranormal investigator. And I don't believe, Carrie Lynn, you guys heard this, did you, during the show? Then the only reason I heard it is because I was producing the show and I had headphones on, and I was about 4 feet away from this screen for people that weren't there on Monday night, and I could still see the screen, and I was squeezing in some resin as I have a whole bunch of new molds, so I'm super excited. It's like Christmas. So as I all of a sudden I look up, I go, who's drinking with a straw or something? I look up, nobody's drinking. Oh my God, that's got to be an EVP. Because just as I got goosebumps. As Carrie Lynn asks Rick, have you ever had an attachment or something to this effect? That's when the noise came through. So when you re-listen, it sounds like a moan at first. And then it literally sounds like, to me, and people were concurring. Some people thought it sounded like Jurassic Park on Monday night and a bunch of different other things. It sounds like, when you got the bottom of anything in the bottom of a glass, and when you're a little kid and you had a straw and you're sucking it up, it sounds like that. But it actually, I think, is a growl. You heard it, eh, Dave?
I did. Yeah, I don't know what it was. It's definitely a voice. It's definitely was imitating a voice of some sort. Yeah, so I'm not sure what it was, but I heard it. So that was a definite unsuspectable EVP. And if they didn't hear it, I mean, did you hear it on your headphones, or was it just?
Yeah, that's the only reason I noticed, because I was sitting in front of the screen and I thought, okay, I got about an hour. I'm listening. The phone's right beside me. I want to try out this new mold. So I poured some resin and I literally had it on my table where I set it out, but I could still see the phone. I could do whatever I needed to. So as soon as I looked up looking like that, and then I went, nobody's drinking. So I know well enough to mark the time, because I mean, it's not unusual. Like, I think we have a show, especially where we had a lot of EVPs, that Howie thought that we might have. Remember that one? We had crazy audio stuff that was a few months ago.
Oh, we did?
Because Howie said, please tell me there's an archive. He goes, I have to listen back to this.
Yeah.
That's right, Carrie. Then you didn't need headphones because we went back and listened. And then we weren't sure even if it was still there, because it's interesting to discuss, right? Because anything can happen with an EVP. I'm sorry, but it can. I've seen some that have been there and then they disappear afterwards in a recording when it was there, or you hear it and it doesn't get picked up, or all different kinds of variations, but it's just energy manipulation, right? It really is.
That's what it is. Exactly. That's probably the best way to explain it right there and then. It's because it's not an actual disembodied voice. It's a disembodied voice, but it's energy manipulation in order for us to hear the voice.
The ones that freak me out are the ones that are super intelligent responses. And like beyond a shadow of a doubt, that whomever, say if you're using a ghost box or something, that someone is answering your questions, or they'll tell you your name or something if you ask them, then you're like, especially if you got an unusual name. Like I have it's not a common name, Lorilei, or say your name was Edgar, I don't know, something. I'm not saying it's a weird or anything name, but it's not a name that you would hear every day if it gets repeated, right? Yeah,
it's not. I love intelligent EVPs too. Those are my favorite when you are talking, when you ask a question and the answer comes back later on, you're listening and there's the answer. That's pretty interesting.
I'm trying to remember in that series, because they did some investigation with paranormal equipment in Ghost Mine. There were 2 series of it, and it wasn't a bad show. I remember us watching. Hi, Robin. We got Halfern Paranormal here over in the UK. He says hi, Dave. Hi, Laura. I think they used like K2 meters to measure like the EMF in the cave, like in the mines, like because we started off with the Tommy knockers, right?
Yeah.
And they did get some, but then again, right? Anything. I'm sorry, but I don't believe it on TV shows, because I know the clip I sent you. I'm so sorry you didn't watch it, because it mentioned our favorite, and I say that facetiously, tight t-shirt wearing little friend out there that started the paranormal investigation TV stuff. Apparently they did a show on Tommy knockers and ghosts in mines. I didn't know that, but the guy that I sent you the clip with said, even though they've done a show on this, Tommy knockers and the phenomena about them globally remains a very little known phenomena.
Yeah, it is. It's not very well known, and that's why when all of a sudden one happens, you'll see 50 other people put out a video. Because you know what, you guys, anybody who does investigations, just because you go to a mine that's supposed to be haunted, you do an investigation there, doesn't mean that you're going to hear anything that night. But that doesn't mean that it's not there. It's just, those things are very hard to capture, and they are really rare. They are rare. And when they're rare like that, those are the ones you go and investigate into. You look into it and you see, when it happened, why it happened, so on and so forth. But I know the show that we were talking about with the person that we neither of us really care for, they seem every time they do something.
It's a demon. It's a demon.
It's a demon, or they try to make something. Like nothing happened. Like my mom, bless her heart, you guys. Me and my mom used to watch ghost shows religiously together. We would sit on that chair and watch hours of every ghost story. Yeah. And my mom, who is not a medium and is not a ghost person, she's had experience with ghosts like I did when I was younger, but
she has a child that's seen ghosts and spurs.
She'd say nothing happened. All they did was make a noise and go, "Ooh, I'm scared." She goes, "That's nothing. That's not a ghost." And my mom will go off on like that. And if my little mom goes off like that, then it's fake. Because some of those shows, they try to make stuff happen after a while. I encourage people, I really do, to encourage you safely to go on investigations. Look into what an investigation is first, or go with somebody who knows how to do it. But that's going to be your best bet of having that experience.
Hi, Joy. our buddy Joyce here. We know her from the place that shall not be mentioned, as we call it, but we know her. I'm so glad you're tuning in. I'm going to read Carrie Lynn's comment. So she says, I was doing a live seance on the group page. Oh, yeah, she had mentioned this too. I didn't have your permission to share this part, but I remember her sharing this part too from last week. She says, I was doing a live seance on the group page because she has an amazing group, by the way, powerful healer. So check her group out. And the man spelling his name said, hi, that was caught by someone watching. We couldn't hear it at the time. We watched video back and you can hear it, a breathy, hi. Happens lots. Mm-hmm.
I know people are like, why is it breathy when a spirit talks? And I'm like, well, maybe spirits are just sexy.
Well, I don't know. Have you heard? I've heard breathing before in spirit form. And think about it. When you're no longer alive, why do you need to breathe? Why do you have to wear shoes? Yet you'll hear an earthbound spirit stomping around in shoes.
That's the whole thing behind the energy. I think that all EVPs are energy manipulation because spirits, and I know this inside and out, spirits don't breathe. Spirits don't talk with a vocal. They don't have vocal cords. They don't have, everything is perceived, is perception. So I had the answer I told you where they told me how we see signs from loved ones or how loved ones speak to us or our guides speak to us. They gave me a thing on that. I need to ask them, how do we collectively comprehend signs from ghosts? You know what I mean? Because I wonder, because me and you and 4 other people could walk into a house, me and you might totally hear it. I mean, not inside of our head, but we might hear it. Everybody else will go, we didn't hear anything.
Yep.
Well, it depends on who it was for, too. And maybe if it's a collective thing. I think when a spirit wants you to know that it's there and is ready to let people know, it will make an audible sound somehow. I don't know how they make audible sounds. I do not. I wish I did.
Well, Carrie then says sexy spirits. Haha, that's awesome. And then Leah, that's a good point, Leah. They just convey it in a way that we understand. And Carrie Lynn also said so true, David. Yes, I agree with you. That's why when I suggest people that I watch, no, I'm not the be all to the end all. I'm not the paranormal TV guide, but the people that I choose to watch, I do believe they're trying to do the right thing. So they treat spirits with respect. Number one thing for me, okay? Because you shouldn't be treating anybody with disrespect on the other side. If you're dealing with something truly evil, respect even goes a long way. The other thing is that I really respect people that when they go to, say, a notoriously haunted place, and I have seen some of them go to like the Sally House or, the Winchester House, or there's these notorious asylums or whatever, right? That there's all this documented activity and they get nothing, right? And they tell you, I got nothing. And this is how long I was here.
Those are the shows I will come back next week and watch it. If they say, go through the entire investigation and go, you know what, we just didn't catch anything this week. No problem. I get it.
That's what I'm saying. Those are the ones I watch. Or like I always talk about the Foreman Brothers, and I still will. Paranormal Nightmare TV series, it's called. I don't know if they're on TV because I don't have cable, but they're on YouTube. And the reason why I respect these 3 brothers so much, they spend their own money and have done so for over 12 years, going all around the U.S. They say they're considering starting to go to Canada, which would be nice because some of us, I would have loved to have called them years ago. But anyways, they go there to help families, and they empower them, and they teach them how to energetically continue the clearings, and they really teach them about activity and try to get to the bottom of why things are happening. And they just don't go there to film something and make it worse and walk away. I have a lot of respect, and if they don't get anything, they don't get anything. They're not going to make it up. I respect those.
I got to tell you about this. Is a little story about ghosts and evidence.
Okay.
The ghosts, because this is a fun conversation. I had, when I lived in Dallas, not Dallas, Texas, Dallas, North Carolina, down the road kind of for me. I got a phone call. The lady who did my hair, I think it was one of her friends, gave me a phone call. She called me up and she said she thought there was something in her house. And she had asked how much would it cost for you to, come over and do that? And I said, nothing.
I don't charge for paranormal ever.
There and everything else. And I said, no problem. I'll come in there. And she goes, if I want a reading. And I said, well, if you want a reading, we'll, figure something out. But otherwise, I'll come over and check out the house. Mm-hmm. So this was like in the fall. So about 8:00 at night, it's dark out here by then. And I went over to the house and I walked in. And the minute I walked in, I just as a medium, I did my little prayer. I had my mala beads, and I walked in. I was just bombarded, and nothing was scary, but I was bombarded. And we're downstairs. They're telling me about it, and right away, the voice in my head said, "Upstairs, room on the left, or whatever." So I said, "If we go upstairs, is there a room on the left?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "There's also a room on the right, but it's not a room anymore." And they said, "Correct. It used to be a room. Now it's a bathroom." I said, "Cool. Then I know that I'm talking to them." So we go up into this. It was like a giant attic that was paneled and everything. There's beautiful wood in there. Okay. And I walked in there, and I was just telling the spirit, I was like, if you're here, could you tell me who you are? Just validate it, because they're kind of scared. And she's like, "Oh yeah." I mean, she was like, literally, she didn't say, "Oh yeah," but that's how you could feel. It was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." So she started saying, "In this corner is where I sat and combed my hair all the time. When I was a little girl, I combed my hair." And I thought, "You're a little girl. This looks like a newer house." And I thought she was an older spirit, but okay, you're a little girl. And she used to sit in that corner and blah, blah, blah. And I was telling them about this lady, what she looked like and all that. They're like, "Yeah, we know who that is." And I said, "Well, she's showing me she was sitting here as a little girl." But I said, "If this house wasn't built when she was a little girl." And she goes, "Well, not exactly. Because that house their original house was there, but they added on and they changed rooms upstairs and everything." Okay. So I was like, "Oh, that's why." She was still showing me her old room, which, by the way, was really cool. And she had like a little desk, like a little girl, and had a big mirror on it. She used to sit there, play with the dolls. But she took me around and did all this stuff, and she validated it. That doesn't make me a great person. I just happened to be in a really good spot that day that had a lot of stuff.
So why is she scaring then these people that know her? What is going on with our cameras here? We got crazy stuff going on.
Isn't that weird?
We're talking about ghosties.
We're talking about ghosts, guys. That's why. But anyway.
Hi, Howie. We were talking about you earlier. All good, we promise.
The reason she called me over for there is because the child was talking to the lady all the time, and she was just wanting to make sure she was talking. And when I said what she did is she brought her child up, and I think at the time her child was like 6. And I said, "Can I talk to your daughter?" And she said, "Yeah, should I leave the room?" I'm like, "No, stay here."
Stay here. Please stay here.
The coach her, and I just asked her. And she was telling me, yeah, she saw you didn't have to coach the kid. That's why I wanted the mom to be there. I didn't want her to think I was coaching the kid. I'm just like, right. "Who are you seeing? Is it a male or female?" She's like, "It's a female." And I said, and we got a picture, and I said, "Does she look like this?" And she goes, "Yeah, that's my aunt." She called her aunt grandma or something like that, which is really weird. But I said, "Oh, well, that's what was in the house." But there was also another lady downstairs, an older lady who died in the house. She had hospice come to the house. That's why she died in the house. It wasn't anything awful, too. She was about like 98 years old, and she had cancer. I mean, there wasn't anything, but she's seen all those. But stuff like that, I mean, if you go ahead and prove it to yourself, if you're there, I mean, they gave enough evidence to prove somebody who wasn't a medium that it was them. But like I said, that's the kind of stuff we should be seeing on a ghost show, not all this. Oh, what was that? What was that?
But it doesn't sell. That's the problem.
Yeah, people want
to see a positive news network, which y'all, but you know what? After a while, because I cannot believe, and I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not judging, but how many people thrive off of drama, fighting, arguing. I've known one of my close relatives, I used to say all the time they weren't happy unless they were fighting with somebody. And a lot of people thrive off that kind of energy or sex sells or bad news, things like this sell. And unfortunately, with the paranormal, because that's what makes me so angry, is I'm so glad that we've had shows like this. But the problem is when you have people like that, everything's a demon. People think demons are standing on every street corner and every paranormal little crack and noise, not even paranormal crack and noise, every little, oh my God, it's a demon. It's a demon. Demons. Oh, there we go. Sandra named it perfectly. Jerry Springer syndrome.
The Jerry Springer. Yeah. The results have come back in and they said, "You're a demon." Oh my God, I'm a demon. They start throwing chairs around.
Imagine demon paternity test.
Yeah, demon paternity test. You are the demon. No. There's this medium, and I'm really not going to say his name because I can't remember it. I've reading the book, and I can't remember the rest of the book. He was talking about mediums and other people. They peg what they call is drama, is what you said. They call it, there are spiritual people, and that's what they thrive off of, drama and fear. Half the stuff, and they said they found most of the time, not all the time, a lot of times with some of them, it has nothing to do with the spirit world. It has to do with drama. I know, like, my guides and my spirits, if I ever wanted to do a parlor trick for somebody, they're like, no, I will be cut off that moment. They won't let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if
I've never entertained it, but something I will say, and I've said it about you and another one of my friends, that I've said, if you gave me the lottery numbers tonight, or my other friend that starts with D, she'll know who she is. I said I would go buy a lottery ticket, but I'm also always apt to add right after or before, but that is not something that we do. But with me, I'm using this analogy with, I trust what you pick up that much, but I make it very clear to people that no, that we don't use these gifts as parlor tricks or anything else, or to use negatively. Like Dave and I have talked about this many times, as there anybody else in this field that's here, and you'll get somebody and they're having a hard time, and you get it. They're really having a hard time. Maybe they're going through a breakup or something, but they want to book a reading because they want to know what's going on with the ex, or what was going on with the ex when they broke up and whatever. And I know we've talked about this off air, Dave. Yeah. We will both tell people, could we go on somebody else's energy field? Absolutely. Will we? Absolutely not. I consider it break and enter. I would never do it, and I know you never would either.
Yeah, I never could. I've had and it's not because it's evil, like demons, but it's just not. It's
you know have ethics.
There comes, if you're a spiritual person, or you're a psychic, or you're a medium, or anything like that, I think that gift comes with responsibility, and you have to know discernment. You have to have discernment. You have to know when to shut up and when not to shut up. And when to
know what else is powerful? I just, Spirit reminded me that you'd shared. Well, the other thing is, I think if you're a human being that would go and break into other people's houses, I don't walk a mile in your shoes, but that's not something I would do, I know. But when you shared this, and I think it's so powerful and important to remember that I always tell, first of all, people, I'm not 100%. I'm not. Nobody is. We're human beings, first of all. I will always be truthful with you and do my absolute best to be honest with you, or whatever that is. But you've seen, I didn't see this because it would have broke my heart, that, do you remember on TikTok, that lady that told that other lady when she asked how long she had to live or she was going to get better?
A medium told another girl, yeah, you have cancer, you're going to die soon. Yeah, pretty much.
And what did Spirit say to you? Because I think it's so powerful why you should never do something. I don't know why somebody would, but
this person said something to this effect, and I was kind of mad about it. And I was talking to my guides, and I'm like, because, okay, one, we cannot really predict the exact moment. Okay. Mediums can come close. We can feel something might happen, that so on and so forth. But my guide said, by telling that person that, they said, you just took away their hope. Their free will actually entitled them to hope. It actually entitled them to change the situation. But because somebody had just said that to her, the chances are that person's not going to change that situation now if they believe that person. So I'd say you never ever give anybody bad news like that if it's going to destroy something that could happen. Because Lorilei will tell you this same thing. When we look at something about a person, or when any of us do, if we're looking at the path that they're on at that moment. That can change. And so if somebody says to me, hey, am I going to get that job? I mean, I can honestly go, well, on the path you are on now, it's most likely no. But if you want to get to that, this is how, you could switch and try this instead, and you'll probably get there. And most of the 9 times out of 10, they do.
Sorry, honey. I have a little bit of a delay. I'm trying to pause and not jump in it. That we get so passionate about this, and we really appreciate all your comments. I'm trying to highlight them. But you're absolutely right. And I always tell people, I don't like to predict the future. Sometimes Spirit tells you, and you will. But I always say, in this moment, exactly what Dave said, in this moment, the path that you were on. But the choice is up to you. It's always up to you for whomever you're reading for. But I will tell you, we do appreciate when we do this, and I will never say or give away any details, but somebody recently got back to me about something that I did tell them that I saw in the future for them, and it is happening. So I really appreciate the validation. I call it evidential proof, and it's a nice thing. So thank you. We like to hear those kind of things. And it's not like, oh my God, I'm so great. That's not what it is. It's just it really means a lot, because you know what, we're human too. So we may think we hear things, we may think we all hear things, we all feel things. It's not like, I hate that too, where people tend to put people that use their gifts up on a pedestal. No, we all have these gifts, we all have these abilities, right? And it's just a matter of whether somebody chooses whether they're going to tune into it. Some people keep it from birth, like you've had it since birth, Dave. I've had it, never recognized it until I lived in a haunted house.
I just spend a lot of time honing it, though, and you really do. That's probably the hard thing. Now, this actually also works with the fear-based stuff too. If you're a person and that's what you crave in your experience, you're probably going to get it. But it's probably going to only be for you, because you're the one who has to create it. So if you want to create fear-based things, like just around hauntings, let's say, if you want to create fear-based things and you're that hell bent on it, you're going to get something that scares you, because that's why you're asking for,
Hi, Jade. Well, Jade, let's read her comment. She says, so true. It's sickening. I've seen many people break up marriages by the toss of forced shells. That's really sad. Yeah. So she just decimated probably for generations with a Yahtzee container and $4 store shells. That's heartbreaking. And that's why it's so important, because we are all loved. Believe me, folks. And even though you may feel like you're alone, we are never alone. We came here with a whole support team. Even though you may not see them, you may not feel them, and they got your back. They got your back more than anybody on this planet. And that's why it's so important, because nobody knows you better than you. Trust that inner guidance, that inner knowing, that inner wisdom. We all have it, right? Yeah. Because that breaks my heart.
So Howie's, I like Howie's thing. This is something that people might not believe that, but see, Howie's a very open-minded person, and he knows his stuff. But he says, like asking a building or location to help train a new team. You literally can go into a building and ask that building stuff, because people don't realize that everything has consciousness to a point. So
yeah, I can do Akashic records on buildings and stuff like that. Yeah, everything has a.
And actually, some of the cities we live in, the city I live in could have karma behind it that the city's trying to fix, so that all that stuff does. But yeah, you can go into houses and ask a house to show you things. You can ask buildings to show you things. I went when I was making YouTube videos years ago. During the day, it was, because I believe that there's ghosts during the day too.
So do I. Just because I think we just don't notice as much, because there's noise and there's light. Mm-hmm.
That's maybe where it's kind of handy to be a medium or something, because we get it during the day quite a bit. I get more during the day than I do at night. At night,
there's more going on in the daytime half the time than there is at night, right? But people think, and I always say it's 3 o'clock in the morning somewhere, because people always think 3 o'clock, that's the only time.
When I was going into these places to make my little ghost videos and stuff all by myself, you know dang well when I walked up to that door, I'd ask that house to protect me. I'm like, if there's anything in here, just, forgive me or just tell me now. And I'd wait for a second and I'm like, sounds good, let's go in. And I'd have a good time. I would, it'd be great. I would hear stuff, but I also, when I'm not in my, I'm almost always in my spiritual mode, but when I was doing YouTube videos, I didn't let the sounds get to me too much, because I had to say to myself, David, you're in this old house. You see ghosts to begin with. You got your camera. It could be a cat running around outside.
Sometimes humans are worse than ghosts, too. Yeah. We hear that all the time. So I always say the buddy system works good.
If I'm going investigation, I see ghosts don't scare me. People can go, oh, that ghost will possess you. I'll be like, yeah, whatever. Good luck. And, that'll treat him right if he does do that. He deserves it.
It's pretty boring.
Yeah, if he wants to try to be me for a week or so, have at it. It's not that fun. But I just go into these places and I have a good time. I ask to see things. I was going to say something about a scary ghost and it just slipped.
No, you know what you were talking about, and we talked about this a couple of years ago, and it really has always stayed with me. And I think you're right. Like when you go into a place and you're talking again, say a paranormal team, there's lots of them that videotape and what have you, right? And they're all talking about, oh yeah, I hope the ghost, like something happens with the ghost. I hope I hear the ghost, hope we get EVPs, hope the ghost pinches me. I've never been hit before. About what do you think? Especially like you will hear some EVPs coming through, saying it's really lonely here. Like there was a beautiful video on, and again, I keep going on about Nuke's top 5, but I love what's sent in there. This man was the most, I wish I could have hugged him. He lives in Minnesota, so it's not super far away from me. I'm in Canada, but he went to this abandoned cemetery, and he was so sweet. Oh, there's our third co-host. Yep. And he was so sweet and so polite to the spirits, and he was asking names, and you could literally hear the voice without any ghost equipment. And he verified this. There were 2 little girls there, because he went to the one that had passed. They were sisters, 5 and 7, Ida, and I forget what the other little girl, Nanny, her real name was Nancy. And he said, I'm so sorry. He goes, it looks like somebody messed up your gravestone and destroyed it. I'm really sorry about that. Is that what happened? And you hear a little girl's voice say, yeah. Anyways, long story short, he kept asking him, would you mind if I took your picture? Could you pose? Can you smile? I'm going to count down. I swear to God to you, in one of the pictures, you can see 2 little girls hiding around the fence. There was a iron rod gate fence. Their picture was caught in 1 second. But when he would ask them questions, one of them, you could hear her without ghost equipment or anything, very faintly. The other one was shaking the gate that was around their gravestones. Like she would shake it, so you kind of know it was a yes. And if she didn't shake it, it was a no. And this was all caught on video. This guy was by himself.
Oh, wow. I watched, this is about 15 over that. This is probably like 20 years ago. And this is how I know that this one I really believe, and you might have seen it. It circulated for a while. Mm-hmm. It was a ghost show. I didn't remember what it was called, but a lady had went into a graveyard in the middle of the night, which I always tell people, we don't hang out at graveyards unless that's what we want to be. Nobody's trapped there. I mean, if they want to be there, they are there. Or like the little girls, they're probably maybe caretakers.
Thanks, Jade.
But there was this lady was out there, and she had an EVP recorder. Now, this is back where they had to use actual EVP, like actual recorders. This is before.
I have one. Every time I try and find it for a show, I can't. I'll find it after. But yeah.
I've got one too in one of my boxes, and I still use it in my house. But she went out there, and she just had a camera. So they took a camera, and all of a sudden, of course, they had orbs everywhere. I went through a bunch of them and I debunked some of them. Some of them I couldn't because it was outside. Half of them are bugs, really. But on the EVP, there was this was like in Ireland or something like that. It was like because the ghost or whatever she asked a question because there's supposed to be some little boy who was hanging out there all the time. So she asked about that little boy. She asked if he was here or what you were doing here, and you heard nothing. And then they go back and they play the EVP. And after she said, "What are you doing there?" He goes, "I'm trying to find me stone." That's what he said. And to this day, I can hear it in my head because I thought that was the cutest, coolest EVP I have ever heard. It wasn't like I was murdered and I'm here. He just simply said, "I'm trying to find me stone." He was looking for his headstone. His headstone had been knocked over. And they put it back up, by the way. That was the happy ending. They found it and had somebody put it. It was a big headstone. But
it was respectful. But where I went off on a tangent there. What I was going to say, Dave, when we talked about this a couple of years ago, you had said, if you're really looking for an experience, never mind that people may, you may hear an AVP, it's lonely here or whatever it may be, but they got all the time in the world. There is no time and space on the other side. So they're probably going to make sure, hey, why not? Let's have some fun. You guys want this? Sure. I'll give you what you're asking for.
I told you I had that theory, and I'm not sure because I can't.
Excuse me.
That some people actually write in that ghost thing in their contract to experience.
Oh, we did talk about that too. Yeah, like if you wrote that in, because I think didn't we have somebody ask us, one of you guys or one of you ladies, so I'll say all of you here, somebody asked us, I think at the end of one show a couple of weeks ago, could it be a contract to be a earthbound spirit? Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. And I
agreed that, I guess if you contracted for it, like that you thought there was something to learn, right?
Yeah, if that's, or you just wanted to. If Brandy's still here, when we went to that one place where I met Brandy in that room with the dolls and that old lady, when I was talking to that old lady, she's the one, she kept telling me, I'm in two places. And I was like, I don't know what that means, hon. And then as the days went on that we were there, she is in heaven. She went all the way over, but she loves that place. She loved people bringing her the dolls, and she visited that place a lot. So she was there all the time. She wasn't trapped. She showed up. I mean, she wanted to be part of the party. Yes, that's me. I'm the ghost. I'm the celebrity. Yeah. And I think some might want to be like that. I mean, I think it'd be hilarious.
Well, I guess depending, that's the thing, right? We try and wrap our human minds around, though, who we are. Because I was just saying this. I think it was Michelle. She had asked from Australia. She must be working. And I thought she asked such a good question. I think it was actually on the Angel Rock. I did a show by myself, actually. It wasn't on here. And somebody had asked about what happens with organ transplants. And Michelle had mentioned that she had heard that you're earthbound because part of your body is within another human being. And right away, loud from spirit, you are not your body, right? Your body is just the vehicle you're using to access this lifetime in this particular environment. Like, we leave the body. Doesn't matter. We have no need for a heart in the afterlife. It's not going to tether us here, right?
Yeah. Except I think the only thing we have soul memory.
Oh yeah, well, we talked about that and about blood transfusions. I've seen memories come from
soul memory for that. That's what that is to me. If somebody has a blood transfusion or somebody has a heart transplant and they see different things, it's not because they stole that person's heart, but they're picking up on the soul memory of that piece.
No, but what she was asking was whom the heart had come from. That meant that they were trapped here. They were an earthbound spirit because their heart was within another individual. Whether they had agreed to donate it or however the person had received the heart, but because there was another living being with this individual's heart and they're passed away, that they were trapped here in this earthly realm because their heart was still here.
That would be where the drama comes in for the.
That's when I said, like, it came through so loud from spirit that we are not our body.
No, sorry.
We really are.
I know I've had people say stuff to that effect to me too about organ transplant.
I thought it was a good question or comment, because I think it opens the doorway for discussion right? And
Yeah.
we always try to remind people, David and I aren't experts. We're just sharing with you either what we receive from spirit or what we've discovered within our own life experiences, right, Dave?
Yeah. And I love the metaphysics, so I've
Well,
always
we study it, of course we do, but I mean,
I
still,
am
we're not experts.
I'm always trying to theorize anything I can get, and sometimes if spirit doesn't give it to me, I'll tell my spirit guides, well, if you're not going to give me the answer, then I'm just going to theorize it. You know.
And then Angel, our co-host, is just here.
And when I do, I mean, literally, they'll laugh at me, or they'll be like, "Okay, you're on the right track." Yeah. So it all depends.
Yeah, but we find like whenever, and I'm sure any of you that do this kind of work, I know there's a lot of you in the chat are probably listening. I should remind you, see, we get into these deep discussions. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the thing at the foot of the bed on UFO Paranormal Radio Network, also known as United Public Radio Network, or just simply UPRN on 105.3 and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. I am one of the hosts. I'm Lorilei Potvin, and this is my amazing two co-hosts. One's just here to anchor the cuteness, Angel, and then David Hanzel. Sorry, Dave, I was supposed to do that at top of the hour, but we get into such interesting discussions.
Oh, no, we got that. Angel, do you got any ghost stories? That was almost Angel's name. I was going to name Angel Ghost.
Oh, I can't see Angel being ghost.
No, I can't either. That's why I changed it right away. I'm like, no, you're not a ghost. You're an angel.
Angel, I'm so glad that because you kept Angel out for a little bit because Angel kept hopping on the equipment and I kept saying, oh, you got to bring Angel back because Angel's all of them are sweet, but Angel's a little dolly.
Yeah, I started sitting on this swinging chair now because when I sit at my desk, they all jump on the desk.
Yes, but Angel loves to be in here. The minute you should go off air, Angel jumps in, and I had to. You guys missed because Miss Emmy decided that she wanted to be part of the show, but she's way too big, my dog, so she got sent out because she wasn't listening to her mom tonight. Oh, hi, Jade says greetings and happy to meet you. Well, happy to meet you. You say this is the first chance.
I appreciate that. Yeah, but let's see. What do you guys want us to talk about for this last like 20 minutes or so?
Well, somebody had asked about animals and animal spirit earlier.
Yeah, is he still here?
Unless you guys have a different topic. So Jade says this is the first chance I got to catch your show live. Love your energy. We appreciate you being here as well. Yeah, well, let's see. Unless you guys want to keep continuing, we can keep talking about elementals and paranormal, and we always leave it up. No, you know what? I just thought of something. We did discuss this, David. We talked about, I sent you that video clip about reptilians. Remember you said you wanted to talk about that and about the skinwalker phase that everybody's in.
Yeah, the skinwalker thing, well, I don't know. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's do the reptilians.
Reptilian.
Okay.
So anybody who hasn't watched before, I think the very first alien that I ever saw in my entire life that was real, physical, standing right in front of me, and I was about like 4, 5, 6, something right around there, was I'm going to call him a gentleman because I don't know, he that's just how I saw him, but he just stood there, stood still for a minute, and he was there. He was not mean. He was not nothing. Just letting me know that they were here, and he did resemble this is before I'm going to be 50 years old, and this is back when this is like 40 years ago, and he was not mean. He was kind of lack of emotion, everything, and it was what people would call a reptilian now. I did not know. So when I started hearing about reptilians later on, I'm like, wait, no, I saw those. I know what that is. And people are always making them out to be awful shapeshifter things, and the president's one, and this president's one, and this dictator's one, and that. And I think that that's bull, because I really don't think that reptilians are shapeshifters. Mm-hmm. I don't. That's just me. I could be wrong, though. And if I'm wrong, I will totally go, oh, I am wrong. But I don't see it as that. I've never had the encounter where I'd see why they would want to do that.
Yes, but where we were going to go with this was that I sent Dave a video, and of course I happened to see it just when I woke up, and I forgot to include the important part that don't watch the whole thing. There's one line because you start watching, he's being so kind, going, well, I don't know if I really resonate with this. I go, oh my God, Dave, I forgot to tell you, it was just the one line. It wasn't the whole thing, because she really was out there. But what she had pointed out, and I think it's important, you had a very positive experience with a reptilian, and that was the point, that not everything is just evil. Plus, I want to share with something you said to me today, Dave, and you said, did I get it? And I completely got it. At first, when you said it, I thought, where is he going with this? You said nothing is inherently evil, but then when you went into the perception of who they might, you said it so beautifully, of who they might be meant to be, and within the culture that they are, maybe this is who they are meant to be, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's evil.
Because I had always been explained to you about my guides, and it becomes more and more apparent every day when I think about it, is that all energy is neutral. All energy is neutral. It's not inherently evil. It's not inherently good. It's our perception of it that changes it. So what we would consider evil, some might not. Like, there might be, I mean, I don't want to say it, but let's say there's a part of a world where they eat a certain animal, which is on their menu. That's just what they eat. It's normal for them. But if you did that in the States, we would be horrified, So, and we see it as evil. They don't. So we're putting our perception on what's evil and what's not. To even see, demons are really real. To a demon, they're probably not saying to each other, let's go out and be evil. They're like, no, let's go have fun, because it feels good to be like this. Yeah. So to them, it might not be evil. So I think evil and good is suggested.
Evil's in the eye of the beholder.
Kind of like when people go, well, if there's a God and he's all good, why does he make these things happen? And I always tell people, God doesn't make these things happen. Yeah. God actually knows, well, as far as I know, that energy or source is all emotions, is good, is bad, is up, is down, is all those things.
Yeah, but God doesn't cause bad things, say, to happen to good people. Yeah. And that's a whole show we could do on why do these things happen.
We inherently have free will, and we have free will. Other aliens do. Everything does. Now, what I wanted to say about the reptilian thing, let's say, and people are like, they're mean, or grays are mean, and this and that and the other thing. Maybe grays aren't evil, the little grays that are abducting people. I did ask my guide something about the grays. Did I tell you about that? And I said, why do all these stories about people having these experiences with the grays and being taken away, and they come back here, and there are these horrifying stories where they did all this stuff on them? And you know what my guide said to me? They're like, well, you went under amnesia to remember something. He said, do you not know they might have put you out and none of that? They erased your mind for a reason, and you came back down here and undid what they did. So they said that's the same way of you going to have a surgery, and then you had regression to remember what it was like to have that surgery. You're going to be screaming and yelling and seeing doctors cutting you open and doing all that stuff. And it's like, no, they put you out so you wouldn't remember to do this. So I wondered I don't know how true that is. It comes in weird pieces, but I can understand why everybody says I was taken on a ship and I was anal probed and I was this, that, and the other thing, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, when did you know that right away? They said, no, when they put me under hypnosis, I seen it all. Well, why did you go under hypnosis to see it all?
Are you telling me, Dave, I should never have a regression session to find out where my hour and a half of missing time is? And how I blinked, and then an hour and a half later, when I opened my eyes, there's in the opposite direction, miles away, facing opposite direction.
You're not going to physically experience. No, because you're not going to physically experience it. You might just be aware of what happened. Because I watched my side getting cut open when I was in the hospital. So and it didn't hurt, but I remember it.
Well,
so maybe
it's the same thing when you have like a past life regression, right? You see that lifetime where you lost your life, but it's like watching a movie. Like, and I can tell you that from experience, that's also what it feels like, right? You can just, it's like watching it. You don't.
It is. You're the observer.
Do you want to read Sandra's comment? Or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so Sandra Sharp says, when I started meditatively journeying, I had an encounter with a flesh-colored reptilian in a cave who was teaching a group of children who were in meditation themselves. He looked a bit like Gandhi. There you go.
Ooh, maybe Gandhi is a reptilian. No, I don't know. I think that's fascinating. See, I think, and you wonder, it might not be like why people when we tell stuff like this to people in our meditative practices, they think, oh, it's all in your head. It's like, well, listen, as you look at the world, it's all in your head, actually. When you wake up.
Oh, I just downloaded something about the principles of hermetics and the laws of the universe, and that's exactly what they were talking about. That's why it's called anything with mental and light, and it's all a perception within the mind, basically.
Yeah, it's all perception. And your earth that you're seeing in front of you right now is a perception. Like Lorilei and I are agreeing on some level to see these computers and see this show happening. And I see my room and I see my cat. I mean, we're all creating these things because we're energy. We don't have all these bodies and stuff.
Think about a car accident. This is awful to say. I don't want anybody to have a car accident, but what I'm saying is you can have 20 witnesses and they've proven this, and they all go around they're all interviewed individually, and it's highly unlikely that all 20 people will see the same thing. They'll see it completely different, even to the clothing someone was wearing, and it's all about perception, right?
It is. Yeah, and what you're programmed to see. And I always tell people, like in mediumship, I always say I look at my mind as a coffee filter. If you're going to do mediumship, which is them coming through you to give a message, if you have a dirty old coffee filter in your head filled up with all your crap, and that water from there fills that up, that's got to filter through that. So I just did a reading the other day for somebody who, she said she went to a medium, and this medium told all this stuff, but she didn't believe it and all this stuff. And I went back, but she said something about her and kids and having kids. And she said, I don't have kids. I never want kids. So I think she was full of crap. Anyway, guess what? I gave that woman the same exact reading. The same exact people came through with almost the same exact stuff. And she said, why is that? She goes, so if that stuff is true, what does that mean about the kid? And I said, no, the medium probably wasn't a bad medium at all, but she might be going through something in her life about kids or parents. She did that medium was pregnant. She said that medium was pregnant. So whatever that medium was getting was coming through her. And if that medium, if we sit back into ourselves, even for a moment during a reading, we risk having that information getting filtered through what's happening to us.
I have another perception of why this happened.
But it was true. The medium had that. All the other information was true, but she needed to know that.
This is where I'm going to go with this. Okay. So I have a close friend and if we're asked, sometimes we will connect with spirit to see what we pick up on a missing child. Okay. The one child, and the agreement is, and we understand this, and anybody that does readings or connects with spirit will understand this. The least we know, the better. Okay. I don't want to know anything, and I know Dave's is, all of us are. We don't need it, because it's that way we know what we're getting, especially is coming from spirit. It's not like maybe you told me or anything like that. It's just better to have, this is who, my question, that's it. So we connected on this one case, and both of us, after we compared notes, and she's in Mexico and I'm here in Canada, got identical. Got when the kid was going to return home, why he'd left, where he'd be, blah, 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 right? So then we were working on a different case about a month later. We had been asked, and we both picked up, like, on this person again, picked up we weren't working together. We weren't even connecting at the same time. Okay. But that we picked up all kinds of things. This friend was actually speaking to her in spirit, if you will, like her higher self, the whole bit, and really working with her. Comes to find out, Not even close. And we were talking about this afterwards. And I said, I almost feel, because we didn't have a picture of this young girl either. I said, maybe we were connecting with somebody somewhere in some timeline, some dimension who really needed that, really needed, maybe they were really in that situation. Or for this lady, how do you know that maybe you and the other medium weren't picking up on another timeline for her, possibly a different life too, past life?
She had got I know, I understand that part. She got the admittance that the medium she was pregnant and she was going through stuff with her husband and everything.
No, and I'm not negating what you're saying. I'm just adding, like, there could be a whole multitude of
Could
reasons.
be.
And I should have said that, Dave. I totally
She
concur.
could be seeing another timeline of hers than I did. But I wondered if maybe she didn't escape or she just got tired at the end, because she said it was at the end of the reading. She told her, oh, yeah, by the way, you're going to have kids because you're a great mom and all that stuff. And she said, oh, yeah, thanks. Okay. She's not having kids. She can't.
No, but I'm wondering, right? And I should have added that. And I'm sorry in my excitement, because I totally concur with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because we know somebody else, Dave, that we talked about. We won't name names, but they claim to be channeling an ascended master, and we both agreed that in the past that they've got great stuff, but you can fill in if you like.
Yeah, we both. I like channelers, and I think there are a lot of really good channelers, and they know what they're doing, and they give great messages. But this certain channeler was channeling someone I knew a lot about, and it just didn't resonate. And it was, I'll say that, because there's a couple.
It was humanized.
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple people who channel this being, and it's Saint Germain. One's a woman, one's a guy. But as I was listening to the guy, and I had Laura Lee listen to it too, he totally humanized the spirit, and it literally.
You have to explain. So he said, he was asked in this interview, is there some type of bar or something that all these positive high vibrational beings hang out to? And he said, oh yeah, like it's like a bar, it's an exclusive bar up in heaven. And basically went into a story about how Saint Germain was sitting by himself, and there was a whole bunch of other ascended masters sitting off in a corner gossiping and talking about him. That's not going to happen, folks. That's humanization.
Yeah, that's that person obviously never died or remember dying, because that just doesn't happen. The only reason I can
about love on the other side, you're not going to be gossiping and talking about somebody and being mean to them.
The only reason I know that is because I had an NDE, and every other NDE person I spoke to too, they would all say the same thing. We don't have cliques where we say this person looks lonely, let's invite them over, or no, keep them over there, they're an outcast. We don't do that. That's just not something that seems to happen that I know of. So I kind of don't watch that channeler at all.
The whole point is that we could be tapping into something like that, right? Like energetically, possibly.
We never know what we're going to tap into. I have to be, if I remember the reading when I'm done, then I don't think I was deep enough.
That could have been.
Yeah.
Because we really discussed this. Like, how could we be so bang on about one, and then the other, we were so far off, and we were. I have no shame in saying that. And like I said, we weren't working on it together, like say on Zoom or something. We were in meditation, not even trying to meet up in a meditation. They were doing it at a separate time, and we were picking up the same things. So what I felt I was receiving from spirit was there was an individual who was really in a lot of trouble, like hurt. I believe there was. And for whatever reason, I didn't converse with this individual, but my friend did. And I think they really needed to hear, because she was telling them, you need to hang on, you need to come on, hang on, help is coming, because this person was lost. So, and maybe it wasn't real, I don't know, but we were picking up on too many similarities. So that's kind of how it felt to me. And again, I don't have all the answers. Anything's possible, folks, as far as I'm concerned.
I got to tell you another one where it's kind of funny like that. You guys just listen, you'll love this. I was doing these readings on town with these other people, and so this young girl comes in there with, I think it was her older sister. And when she came in, she had a little stuffed animal, and she handed it to me because she thought I did psychometry. She's lucky because I do.
I was going to say, David, you do. So do I.
So she handed me this
Try to
little.
tell people what psychometry is. Some people may not know.
Yeah, this part that means we can hold on to objects and read the energy just from the object. But she had watched a lot of mediums because in that time period back when this happened, there's a lot of mediums doing psychometry on TV that, like Lisa, what's her name? I can't remember her name. I love her too. They would hand her a set of keys of something or someone they treasure.
Tyler Henry does that too.
Yeah. So yeah, he does sometimes. I do it sometimes. If they hand it to me, I don't say no. But she handed me this bunny, and she goes, "Can you tell me what that is?" And I was like, "What do you get from this?" And I sat there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I totally did." It was from an older woman. I knew her age. I knew how she died. I knew everything else. And the little girl goes, "Oh." And I said, "Is that not who had it?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, let me put this down and see who else I can come up with." Anyway, I ended up, her father came through, and that's what she wanted to. So before she left, I said, "Whose bunny is that?" And she goes, "That's my daddy's bunny." And I said, "I'm sorry, hon, I just didn't pick that up from that." But then her mom came in to pick her and her sister up, and her mom said, "How'd the reading go?" And I said, "Well, your little daughter said, 'Oh, it went good. You talked to daddy.'" And I said, "Yeah, I talked to daddy, but she handed me the bunny and she said it was her daddy's." But I said, "I got this, that, and the other thing." And she goes, "Well, no wonder." She said, "Honey, his mommy gave him that bunny. That was his original bunny." So I picked up the entire grandmother coming through. And then I sat back down with her again. I told her to stay a minute because I figured since grandmother came through that way, I asked if she would come. Then she did. She came through again. So we had been talking up to her and her dad. But it was funny. I mean, it was weird to me because that's the first time when I knew, when I grabbed that object, she assumed it was only her daddy's. She didn't even know it came from her grandmother's, but her mom knew. And I didn't pick up dad's energy on it. I picked up the grandma's. And I don't know why I couldn't pick up his. But maybe he didn't play with it much, or maybe she gave it to him and then he gave it to his daughter, or what. I do not know.
I almost feel like maybe like dad knew that he was going to have a visit with her through you. So rather than to muddle the energy, maybe that was the only way for grandma to come through and have a visit with these little ones.
Well, she did need to hear from her grandmother, so that didn't work out. So maybe that's why grandmother came through first. But yeah, that energy, I did not feel any male energy on that bunny at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But there's still things that I don't understand. I always, sometimes people go, "How do you do what you do?" I'm like, I have no freaking idea.
I think you could take a whole room full of people. We only got a few minutes left, guys, probably about 5 minutes or so. It goes by so quick. But I think you could take a whole room full of people and ask them, how do you connect to spirit? And I can tell you, most people say, "I don't know, I just do." Or even if they do know, nobody will be the same. Nobody.
Yeah, it's hard to explain too.
But we all do it, right? And I think, when we have sayings within our language, now I can't speak for other languages because I speak French and some Spanish, but I would not be using any slang, right? It'd be more proper. But in English, for example, a lot of our physicality type statements that we use actually relate to reality. And where I'm going with this is, watch your back. You're going to get stabbed in the back, right? Like, you can't see what's coming. And even when you start doing energy work or chakra work, you can see stuff like that. Like, it's really interesting. Or I don't know, I'm just going to trust my gut. I'm going to follow my gut. Why? Because that's where a lot of people seem to feel those intuitive feelings, right? Almost at the seat of the soul, if you will, within the gut. So there's a lot of clues into what we say with our verbiage, if you will, that maybe doesn't make sense to somebody that doesn't speak English. But when we dissect it and really look at it, there's a lot of hidden message in there. There's actually a lot of truth.
Oh, there is. Because I always tell people you have 3 brains. You have one in your head, one in your heart, and one in your solar plexus in your stomach. Mm-hmm. That's the time, all the time. That's why I tell people, when they say trust your gut, that's true. That first feeling that you get, you have to go with that, especially if it's a positive feeling. It's the same for, I practice the Renner thing. I have that Renner test on.
Oh, the Renner, a
And-
Zener? You mean the Zen diagram or whatever?
I play with it, and sometimes I'm really good, and sometimes I suck, and it's
I'm
hilarious.
terrible at it.
And I'm not good at it, but I have times I sat down. Last night I sat down, I was doing it, and I was like, David, God, you're really off. And then I'm asking them, I'm like, I'm listening to you. I said, aren't you? I heard you say this, and they said, no, you didn't. You heard you, and you're analyzing it. And I was like, what? They're like, you're analyzing. Stop analyzing. So I said, fine. I was sitting there for a minute, and I just meditated, and I went, oh, okay. My eyes right away went to star. So I'm like, okay, star, and it went ding,
Well,
ding.
we have to explain to people that may not know what we're talking about. So
The Renner test. Yeah.
Russell Targ, who was one of the head scientists with the remote viewing program for the U.S. military, has a free app on the App Store. And I think it's called ESP Trainer. And it's exactly what David's talking about. The Zener, I think it's called the Zen diagram or Zener diagram or Renner. I can't remember.
I don't use that anymore.
But what it is and you're supposed to use it to help build up your intuition. Okay. And so it gives you a bunch of symbols randomly. They're covered, they're like cards, and you've got to guess what symbol's going to come up. And Russell Target watched a whole podcast a couple of years back, and he said they use this with the remote viewers. They've used this with people to build intuition, and that's why he made it free. So you play with it, like Dave said, you play with it and you practice and practice. Eventually, you start to get very good at picking up, probably energetically, what it feels like, I would guess.
They do. But the reason they don't use that test anymore to test psychics like they used to when that first came out, they used to use it to test psychics because they had figured out when they went through it, our minds can also spot patterns. So we start to pick up on the pattern, which is no longer psychic. We're now analyzing it with a logical mind. And you can also do very well by analyzing with a mind. So that's why they had to take that test and throw it out. They're using other tests now. But I still say, like Lorilei said, I have it in my phone because I know when I'm picking up a pattern. I mean, I do. But I still like to play with it because I still think
I suck at them most of the times, and there'll be times, like you said, you'll be really good at it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a sign even to document when we're really good, and maybe when we're not so good. Maybe there's a pattern. Maybe it's a certain time of day, right? Or usually there's no rhyme or reason.
Yeah, you don't know, or you just pick up patterns of stuff too, like numbers. If somebody kept going 2, 4, 6, 8, after a while, you're going to think, okay, they're going by twos. Or if it goes 2, 4, 6, 10, and then 8, try to do it, and then you're going to pick out, your brain's going to catch on to the pattern after a while. Anyway, I guess we should get ready to.
What's that?
We should get ready to say our stuff.
I know. Well, read Howie's last comments. He said, yes, meaning in the stomach. We were talking about trust your gut. And he goes, central core of spirit. You guys, we are almost out of time. It goes by way too quick. We have so much fun with you guys. We love you so much. We appreciate you being here. Dave, you want to take it away? Tell them where to find you and everything.
If you have an idea you want us to talk about on the show, just feel free to message either one of us, either through my website or Lorilei will tell you to message her. You can find me on YouTube, on TikTok, YouTube, Spiritual Medium David Hanzel. You can find me anywhere with that name. My YouTube is called The Spirit Experience. My Facebook group is called The Spirit Experience. My website, they Whisper to Me. It is the only place where you can get a reading from me. I do not solicit. I do not private message people for that. You have to go to my website. It's thewhispertome.com. Starting Monday, I am having my website redone. So on Monday, if you go into it, it's not going to be all different. And if you put in the code Mystic Stew 23, I believe it is, it'll take 10% off any live reading. If you want a clarity reading, which is me talking to my guides and possibly your guides and helping you in some little path you have, if you put in the gift in the code section, it'll take $10 off that reading. Take it away, Lorilei.
Awesome. So I want to remind you guys, I am going to be on Carrie Lynn Shellhorn's podcast tomorrow here on UFO Paranormal Radio Network from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Spirits with please forgive me. I think it's Spirit Switchboard. My brain just went blank. I've said it 100 times tonight. Check it out. 4 p.m. live here. We will be here. Also, Monday this week on the Angel Rock, one of your favorites, you guys. I'm having her back with a brand new book. She was just on Coast to Coast AM. It's Carmen Turner-Schott, and she's coming to talk about phoenixes and angels. You guys love her. Last time she was here, she still has it, as I understand, a free birth chart analysis. It's like 27-30 pages for free, going to her website, and she is an absolute delight to have on. So she will be on this Monday. Otherwise, if you ever want to get a hold of me, you want to do a reading, maybe a healing session, I do mentoring, maybe you got a guest or a show idea, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. Don't forget to stay tuned. We have the Outer Realm coming up right after this with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Bazzano. They're on Wednesdays and Thursday nights with the Outer Realm, and I will be joining them next Wednesday. I'm super excited, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's their usual time slot here on UFO Paranormal Radio Network. I think I've told you everything, except that if you like what you see, please share and subscribe. Tell your friends and family. There's something for everybody here. We've got new shows coming. I know we always do some really amazing, exciting stuff. So stay tuned. Okay, so we will see you next Thursday, right, Dave? Now I got to get this all queued up. So give me a sec before we do our thingy. I know I got to put my glasses on. I'm blind.
Yeah, we can tell people, you know.
I do things from my phone because it's faster. So are you ready? Shall we do it?
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
What's at the foot of
your bed? But you guys, literally, what is at the foot of your bed? Let us know so we can talk about it and help you out.
Right. All right. We'll see you next Thursday, guys. Love ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I got to find what I'm playing. Here we go.
there. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings to you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate News on the Flip Side in the category of politics and news. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast, in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. For 4 years, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals, based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist, no matter their age. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all of the 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and go out and vote now.
Looking for something new in sci-fi or fantasy? Check out what Brandon Sanderson, Orson Scott Card, Nnedi Okorafor, and others chose as the best news stories of the year in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future Anthology. From 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.
You are listening to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, coming to you live on 105.3 right up to 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. UPRNtalkradio.com.